Okay. Yep. Right there. Set the chargers and get clear. Oh, hey there. Welcome to the Nerdy Photographer Podcast. I'm your host, Casey Fatchett. In addition to providing you with entertaining and informative photography and business-related content, I also go on adventures with the crew of the Starship Fibonacci. While you're here, make sure that you subscribe to the show and tell your friends about it. To those of you who have been sharing and leaving comments and leaving reviews, thank you very much. I appreciate you more than words. Anyway, right now I'm attending an interstellar conference and a giant set of security doors has been stuck in the closed position, keeping a large group of conference goers from the edges of the galaxy from being able to participate. My solution? Blow the doors completely off. Is it overkill? Maybe. Fun? Certainly. Speaking of breaking down barriers, on this episode of the podcast, I speak with photographer Waleed Azami on how we can help photographers from marginalized communities, and one of the ways to do that is to use whatever platform you have to spread the word on making things more equitable. That conversation right after the break. Now, where was I? Oh, yeah. I was about to set off these charges. 1, 2. Wait, are we going on 3 or is it 1, 2, 3, then go? Hey, photographers, are you ready to say goodbye to the chaos of scattered contracts, missed leads? Hey, photographers, are you ready to say goodbye to the chaos of scattered contracts, missed leads, and disorganized schedules? Then you should try Pixify, your all-in-one client relationship management software that'll take your business to the next level. Pixify brings order to your business chaos by streamlining your workflow. Manage digital contracts, effortlessly track leads and clients, and organize your schedule all from one intuitive platform. Impress your clients with personalized and branded communications. From email templates to booking pages, Pixify ensures every interaction reflects your unique brand, building trust and loyalty. You can say goodbye to scheduling headaches. Pixify's scheduling tools make it easy for you to book appointments with clients and for you to keep your calendar organized. Deliver a VIP experience with personalized client portals. Your clients can access important documents, view their project progress, and interact with ease. And most importantly, no more chasing payments. Pixify automates your invoicing and payment processing, ensuring you get paid on time, every time. I've been using Pixify for over a decade, and it has saved me countless hours and a lot of money. I tried a number of other CRM options before settling on Pixify because Pixify offered the most robust set of tools that also allowed me to truly connect and foster my relationships with my clients. I highly recommend it. And you can save 20% on annual Pixify programs when you use our link, nerdyphotographer.com/recommends/Pixify. You can also find that link in the episode notes. Save big money and save yourself time. Time, the one thing which you can never get back. Pixify saves me hundreds of hours every year that I can spend on tasks that make my business money or by just relaxing and getting away from work. So what are you waiting for? Visit nerdyphotographer.com/recommends/Pixify and save 20% today. Hello and welcome to the Nerdy Photographer Podcast. I am your host, Casey Fatchett, and I'm here today with Waleed Azami. Waleed, before we get into things, we're going to roll the dice breaker and see what our little intro topic is. 8. It's an 8. What is the worst photography advice that you've ever received?
Hi, Casey. The worst photography advice, my God. I think just posing tips. Like I see these posing tips that I when I started my career, I would be on modelmayhem.com. Nothing against them, but there's a certain particular level, and the posing tips that I've seen, they're so bad. So I had to undo all of that, all of it.
You're sort of, I always tell people, like, you see those advertisements for like, here's a 1,500 poses and cards. And it's just like,
Yeah.
Are you going to carry a stack of hundreds of cards around with you to every shoot and then sort of flip through them? Because it kind of looks like you don't know what you're doing when you do that. Like you just like learning the basics of posing and understanding like what makes people look good, because different body shapes look better in certain poses, but like knowing sort of the basics really helps you like not have to look at, look up a card, or, like a book of poses for people or couples, or poses for men. Like I see the reels all the time. Like, here are 3 great poses for, no, they're not. They're usually
No.
really not.
And God bless you for saying that. Here's the thing. Casey, okay. So let's just divide the room early on. I think that you're right. I mean, it's like, okay, it is a quick way of not looking professional. Could you imagine getting a glimpse of a restaurant? Like some of these restaurants will have a glass window and you get to see the chef working. Could you imagine if they have recipe cards?
Yeah.
Like, okay, chicken piccata. Not that they would make chicken piccata, but just like you see them. I think that you should just know this, and that's not to harp on any photographer that's new, but I would rather say, I also don't want to destroy anyone's business. So if they're selling those cards, good for them. I'm always like down for a good hustle, but maybe take a few, put on your iPhone, just scan and go, okay, these 4 poses, but don't lay those out like a game of Uno.
Yeah. Yeah. My thought is always like, I like to prompt people more than pose them, and like knowing like, oh, you need to move. I know like, oh, you need to angle that arm out a little bit more. Like, just give me a little bit of that, and then we're good. Yes. Great. Like then we're good. But like most of the time, like getting natural reactions out of them. But even in those communities of photographers, I find that there's a lot of people like, I taped a note card to the back of my camera with a bunch of different prompts, or, I took a picture of, a list of prompts, and I just leave it as like the first photo on my camera. So I'm just like looking at my camera, and then I can look through the prompts, and I'm like, then you're not engaging with your subject. I find like commit, like, I know it's, like what you're saying, like you can keep a few of them on your phone. I find that if you can commit 3 or 4 to memory,
yeah,
like, this is what I'm going to use. Then you have those, and then maybe you have a backup on your phone, like of more stuff. But don't, like, if you're just like constantly looking at your phone or your camera, like trying to come up with the next thing to do, you're going to lose that connection with your subject.
Oh, 1,000%. And I think that, listen, I'm also the guy that I think I cheat. I've mastered a way to cheat in every single class in school, like from writing the answers between my fingers, so I can fan out my fingers a little bit and see it and close it, to sticking notes in people's hair in front of me, so I did everything, right? So, boy, the irony of just the hypocrisy, actually, of just making fun of that. But that was school. You're right. I wasn't engaged with that economics teacher or what have you. But as an artist on set, you just have to feel it. And for me, like what really helped me with my posing is I have like 1 or 2. They're not the posing cards. They're just like images that I may have gotten off of Pinterest, for example. But what really helps me is that I actually hate posing. So I don't pose anybody. I make him go between position 1 and position 2, and you're going to rock back and forth, and you're going to constantly, because I think that you get the most movement in the hair and the loose muscles and clothing when you're moving between. But if I catch you at any of the stop points, then you should technically be like a GIF that's on repeat.
Yeah.
But if I catch you at any of the stop points, to me, it's obvious. I'm like, I could see the muscle in the neck. I could see the tendons. I could see, and then I just lost control of it.
Yeah. People look more natural when there's a little bit of movement going on. Their body seems a little bit more fluid. So on that note, like, what our listeners may not be familiar with it, can you give them a little introduction and tell them a little bit about your photographic journey?
Sounds good. Thank you. Well, my name is Wali Azami. So I'm a commercial photographer and director, and now I also creative direct. And I know that a lot of people throw that title, creative direction, but I don't think you can be one unless you've worked for at least 10 years, 15 years in the field, because you have to like amass that kind of experience. But I would say the past 7, 8 years, I've been really dedicating, I would say 30 to 40% of my career, helping my peers, not make some of the mistakes I've made, but also take some of my accomplishments and then double down on that, and just really helping everybody. But my eye is particularly sensitive to marginalized populations, just because I know the door sometimes closes a bit too conveniently quick. So, but I've done that, whether I shoot for like the cover of Rolling Stone magazine, or I shoot for like a huge record label or a record cover. I've worked with some names that people would recognize. I'm trying to do this without sounding like one of those LA jerks, but for the sake of conversation, just so that I can help. Like, I photographed like Kanye West and Bernie Sanders and Mariah Carey and Usher and Jennifer Lopez, some of these people. So I try to take that, and also starting out in the beginning with weddings, and just show the whole spectrum to people. Some days it works out. Some days they turn again. They turn on me. Not just kidding. I have the best community.
It's interesting. I try to think of that, like when you bring up marginalized communities in our industry, and it's something that I, as a white guy, I think about pretty often. I try to do through here on the podcast and just in general, like helping and trying to also like listen a lot to what's going on, to understand better, so that I'm not taking up the air in the room. What are some challenges that, marginalized communities face when they're trying to break into the entertainment industry as photographers?
Of course, and I appreciate you even saying that, because you're doing more work than most people, and that all we need sometimes is just that, right? And I also am very sensitive to not ostracizing somebody because of their skin color. Like, oh, you're Anglo, so I'm not going to help you. That's not how I play either. It's just that everybody is welcome. I just leave the lights on a little bit longer for people that I know have doors slammed in their faces, So I just want to make that, because sometimes people get upset. I'm like, well, I'm sorry that offends you, but everybody is welcome under my umbrella. But some of the challenges that we have is that people automatically assume that just getting the call is really the opportunity, or excuse me, that the opportunity or getting that call is really the payment, and that we should be so thankful somebody plucked us up. And that's big. A challenge also is when people tiptoe around you and they think they cannot say certain words. They're like, could you make it a little more kind of urbanish? I'm like, why don't you just use words that we understand? We're all professionals, But I think the biggest challenge is that I called you, that I picked you, that's your payment. And so that we get more pushback on. So when I hire set, so the last music video I directed, I think I had probably like 30 people on set. I noticed a uniform movement. Anyone that came from generally marginalized population didn't negotiate their rate. They were like, okay, thanks. And so that a lot of that has to do with like from the marginalized side of things, where and generally people that weren't were like, hey, I understand that this may not be the biggest shoot, but I normally work for 2,000 a day, not 1,800, right? And so I tried, so those are a couple of things. It's like, it comes from both sides. I don't want to ever say there was a big meeting and they said, let's hold people back.
Yeah. I think it's interesting. It's like, what I'm getting the sense of is like marginalized communities feeling less able to advocate for themselves.
Yeah.
When it comes and that's something I hear a lot. Because just feeling like, oh, I had to feel lucky that I am even here. And, whereas, like, I'm sorry, the white guys in the room will be like, no, man, I should be getting, this is what I get paid, and I'm not going to be there unless I get paid this. And, that's just that's all there is to it.
That's all there is to it. Exactly. And we just try to help where we can.
Yeah. It's, I think that we can, when you're in the position of hiring or bringing somebody into a project, whatever it is, even if you're like bringing in, in the wedding industry, which you have some experience with as well, like bringing in a second shooter, like, being open and saying like, hey, let's talk about what you're going to get paid, as opposed to just saying, this is what it is, and that's it. There's no discussion.
Yeah.
So
I'm glad you brought up the wedding. Can I just say one thing about that, just for
sure.
people to hear? If just for easy math, if I was to have a rate for $1,000 for a job, right? Let's just say I'm doing behind the scenes photographer and it's $1,000. I would much rather pay $1,200 or $1,300 if I'm getting somebody consistent. And so you got to understand that people are going to pay for the convenience of it also. So if you're convenient, you're loyal, you show up early, you do everything, and you deliver a little bit above that, know that your clients are willing to pay an extra 20, 25, 30% just to have you there, because you're saving them so much time and grief finding somebody new each time.
Right.
That's it. Thank you.
I think that's yeah. I mean, on everything. I mean, I do commercial stuff as well, and it's just that consistency, I think, is the biggest thing. I think that's one of the things that a lot of photographers don't get about. I've had a discussion with on the podcast with a friend of mine who does pretty much strictly commercial and corporate work at this point, and he's like, it's about being consistent. They know that you're gonna like. You don't have to be the greatest or most artistic photographer in the world, but it's that you show up on time. You don't cause any problems. You deliver a quality product, and they know when it's going to get there. That it's not going to take 3 months to get their photos or whatever it is. That they know what they're getting, and that is like that's the biggest thing. And I find as someone like most commonly am hiring second shooters for weddings. When somebody comes in, no matter who they are, and they tell me what like this is what I'm going to get paid for this, I'm like, hey, we've never worked together before.
Yeah,
we need to have a discussion. Like if we work together and I like your work and we click and everything's good, I am absolutely going to bring this rate up. And unlike most people, I think out there who like, I think there's a lot of people who are reticent because there are some photographers who say like, I'm going to pay you this on the next job. And they like get you for 2 jobs and then they never hire you again. I personally am not that guy, but that's the sort of thing we need to weed out as opposed to being willing to give people a raise when they perform well.
I kind of think AI is going to weed out a lot of the bad apples in our tree. I kind of do. We'll see.
It's a double-edged sword, man. It's this latest Adobe, like with the generative fill thing, is just it's blowing my mind. I'm just like seeing these photos and I'm going, what? Like this is just the beginning of this. We've really only scratched the surface. This has become a thing in the last 2 years.
2-3. I mean, but to us, like ChatGPT came out, in January, maybe?
It became, publicly accessible.
It's like in infant stages.
Yeah. It's just going to grow from here, and it's just going to grow astronomically. And that's what scares me. I worry about like one of the things, which I'm sure your clients worry about, like validity of images, knowing that that's actually a picture of somebody, like the realness of it. And I think that there will eventually, hopefully, be stamped into these digital files somewhere saying like this has been augmented or generated via an AI engine of some kind. But the problem is there are bad actors who will, like use this for nefarious purposes.
Of course. I think that you're absolutely correct. I think that they will probably bring some kind of a code of ethics, I guess, like a stamp. But, I think that they'll do it when it hurts our politicians on both sides. I don't think there's anything innocent on either side. When it starts affecting them and people start putting words in their mouths, then they're like, oh, no.
Right.
Now we need to
like step in and do something about it. Yeah. I agree. And I think, it's again, I think unfortunately what tends to happen in these cases is again, the communities that are already on the margins are the ones that get pushed further away by like, I think you think that it's going to, lift things up maybe like, and weed out some of the bad apples. My fear is it's going to push people who are not already established further away from there. You're going to consolidate more power. And one of the things that people need to do, if you're not like, whether you hate this like technology or love it, learn how to use it, because
100%.
it's going to be part of the future, whether it's in a way that you like it or not. But then just seeing the way that in which people are able to swap out backgrounds or extend a photo. That's the thing that really
Yeah.
blows my mind. I've been watching these pictures like where you've got a 2/3 or shot of a couple standing on the beach,
Mm-hmm.
and somebody's like, "Oh, I expanded this photo," and it like completely redid like their legs and
Mm-hmm.
the dress, and they're like standing on the beach, and the whole beach is there. And there's this gorgeous sunset, and I'm like, like this is scary in a lot of ways, but
So I've had the same. I think we've seen the same videos, and I have the same feelings about them, right? And of course, I don't know, and I have to be humble to the technology and where we go as a society. But um, you know, the clients that I have, and this is why I really urge photographers to raise their prices, is because you're going to weed out the people who are loyal to the discount, right?
yeah,
So the people who are loyal to the discount, not to the artistry, they're gonna pay the 19.95 a month or $10 a month, and they're gonna skip out on you as before you can finish your sentence. They just are, so we have to look at that. Okay. The people who are asking you to collab for free, which is the dishonest way of saying, can you work for free? They're gonna drop off. They'll never be a client, but you never wanted them as a client. But I can also tell you that a lot of my clients are going to want things touched by a human, and I've talked to them. And the higher budget clients are going to want something, because you want something that not everyone else has. And so when you think of it from your average bride's perspective, okay, or groom, whatever, but they want a wedding that blank. That was the most magical. That was the most whatever. And they want something unique. And if everyone can get something, people tend to shy away from it.
yeah,
And photographers, I think, also have to realize we're not a necessity, we're a luxury. So we need to act like a luxury also and price like a luxury.
yep,
I think that, listen, we've had art available forever. Like you can go to any IKEA, there's cheap art forever. How many apartments I've been to with that, the Flatiron building in New York, the black and white.
yeah,
Okay. It's at every IKEA, every dorm room, every bachelor pad apartment, every new office. It's in the background. But there are people who are like, no, I want custom things. And there is an audience for that. I just hope that artists don't give up,
yeah,
because every career is under attack by AI.
yeah. And
Or
why?
it could just kill us all, and
Yeah.
there's that too.
My question is, why is AI trying to do all the? Why doesn't AI get a real job, like picking up garbage? Why do they all want to be
Exactly.
artists? Come on, man. I remember
Exactly.
when I went to college and my parents said, like, why don't you go to business school? Well, why aren't the AIs going to business school?
Exactly.
To get back on track a little bit, though, I will agree. I think that one of the topics I've talked about before was like the AI headshots. And like, oh, send us 10 pictures of yourself and we'll give you like 50 headshots, and like half of them look bizarre. But like what that's going to eliminate is that low end.
Exactly.
That low
Let them
end
go.
person.
Let them go. Wave goodbye at them. Honestly, they were never going to hire you anyways. And and also the low clients are the ones that cause you to age at like 7 times the speed.
Yeah, well, you can see my beard is.
You're like, I'm actually 17.
Only been at this for 3 years. No, I know exactly what you mean. So
yeah,
to get back to our other topic, as an advocate for diversity and inclusion, how can we encourage and support marginalized populations to pursue careers in photography and video and entertainment?
Okay, I love that question. Can I give it as two fronts, like
Sure.
from the person side who feels they're a marginalized population? Number one is whatever is you or someone else considers is your weakness is also your superpower. It just is. Okay. So for example, across my social channels, my YouTube channel, my Instagram, my TikTok, where I help people, like my blog, etc., it is minimum 65% male, minimum. Some accounts are like 70 something percent male, right? So what someone may potentially think of as like, oh, everyone just wants a guy photographer. I'm like, no, that's your plus. Say, I have a unique perspective that majority of the market does not have, and I'm going to charge up for it, you know? So I think that from the marginalized side, whether that's black or brown or gay or whatever people want to fit, I know the definitions are like rotate and people get really sensitive about it, but if you feel that could be a negative, that's also your positive. It's shift your perspective. But also, I think for anyone that just have a system. I don't think that there is one solid way to help everybody and uplift the community. This takes time, just like it took time for certain marginalized communities to come slide down, right? It's just one of those like, hey, if you have a company, say, hey, take the effort and tell your assistant, for example, look and see if we are doing our job. Are we hiring at least 20 or 30% outside of our norm? Could we go to a school that's in a slightly lower socioeconomic district or neighborhood and say, we'd love to hire somebody from here, and just bring them up and don't put a banner on them as like, this is our marginalized person, but like just do the extra effort to just give someone a chance, to stop somebody with a camera that you normally wouldn't. Say, are you a professional photographer? Do you have a card? Like, you see a woman on the street that's photographing things, ask her for her card. It's not like any exact bit of advice I can give. Just be a little more open-minded to giving people a chance, and just a 10% bigger effort and going outside of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing.
I think that's a really great way of thinking about it, because what we have to gain from the perspectives of other people, like there's a lot to learn. Anybody who's different from ourselves, like you know, you have so much to learn from seeing their perspectives, and so therefore you have to get out there and encourage those people to tell us, you use your vision to show me how you see the world and how you see things, because then I can better understand you. Yeah. And it's not just about like, you know, continually throwing my own perspective out there and things that like look like my perspective or like that are very similar to whatever I think the world looks like. Seeing it and encouraging that from other people helps you understand the world better. And you never know, you might get inspired to do things differently. Exactly. Just from seeing this. But to further this point, like, do you know of any specific programs or initiatives or resources that are available to help individuals get past these barriers and find some opportunities in the industry?
I would say not an exact program that does it. That's one thing that I'm trying to build, is like in-person workshops in Los Angeles, and maybe hopefully travel with it a little bit. And I would do that with where 99% of the money raised from it would go to somebody, like making sure that I'm big on more women photographing, just because I think that I would love to do something with a camera brand where we send cameras or work out in a way that women across the world can photograph more, because like, look what's happening in Iran, look what's happening in Afghanistan, where I was born, right? You have women losing their rights like overnight. Like when the US withdrew from Afghanistan, we promised women we're going to take care of them if they helped America, etc. And then I'm highly sensitive to that one because that's where I was born. But it's like, you have women that were in medical school Friday, and by Monday they have to wear a burqa and not allowed to leave the house. And I think that if we saw popular culture more through the eyes of somebody that is marginalized, more of the world may wake up. Maybe, or maybe I'm just wildly hopeful.
I'm hopeful as well. I agree with you.
You have to be.
Yes.
There are times though, Casey, that I see these on TikTok, these UFO videos. I'm like, just land, just
please get it over with.
Land and get it over with.
There's, I'm voting for world-ending meteor in 2024.
Same, right there.
And but I agree. I think that like getting cameras into the hands
Yeah.
of people. However, we can go about doing that. And one of the things I think that it would be great to see camera brands actually doing
Wouldn't that be amazing?
more of that. Like, I can't remember last time I looked at like the explorers of light and the whatever Nikon ambassadors, and like seeing again how few women are in those, like percentage
Mhm.
wise, are a part of those groups. Um, I think that they've been slowly adding more, but it's just sort of like, come on, like let's see some more diverse viewpoints from
Yeah, and
um,
do it without making it a big promotional
right.
thing where using someone's plight for your own commercial. This that's what I hate about
That's what we,
certain blank history month. You
yes.
know, um, it's just I don't like performative. Just do it throughout the year. Just be a decent person.
Yeah, unfortunately, there some people need to be told what to do. But I mean, like, I get what you mean.
Exactly.
It's
Yeah.
the way you call virtue signaling. It's just saying, like, oh, we
Yeah.
hired this person. Like we were mentioning
Look at
earlier. Yeah,
us.
look at us. We brought this person in to do this thing because, like, no, let's show their perspective, and
Hmm.
that's why we want them here, is because of
Yeah.
their ability with this. Yeah, I understand that. I can totally
Yeah.
understand that
But I
point.
appreciate the questions. I think they're great.
But in your experience, what sort of unique perspectives or talents do marginalized photographers bring to the table?
Flavor.
Flavor.
Yep. A lot of flavor. And but I'll say that too, in that if you are of the quote unquote marginalized population, go out of your way to hire someone that you may not hang out with, that you may not um bring somebody that is like, you're like, I don't think that they would ever do this type of a shoot. But the way they see the world plus the project, it becomes a beautiful mix. And it's such a cool way to, they say like there's nothing new under the sun. I
Mm,
don't believe that. But they say that, it's hard to reinvent. Everyone's done something. One great way of just like, here's what they bring to the table is that, I've had an enormous amount of support from the Black community. Just have been. In the beginning, when I first picked up my camera and I didn't even know what an ISO was or aperture or f-stop, and I wrote it on my phone, like those posing cards to go full circle, um, I had immense support from Black recording artists, and they would hire back to back to back to back. But I think that I brought some of my perspective of worldviews to their projects. And so it was like, I think I delivered something slightly different. And that's, I don't know, I just wish that more people played together. So the exact question, Casey, was what can people do?
what do marginalized communities bring to the table that is
A
different?
unique perspective. Like if you're filming a wedding and it's just bring somebody that is entirely opposite of you. Like, can I share, like, it kind of relates
Sure.
a trick that I learned. I was in Jamaica on a tour with Usher and Chris Brown. Okay. Wild. And so but good, like it was a good experience. Let me just put it out there because so no one picks up anything that I didn't mean. Um, but in the bus, I was sitting and a guy named Rico Love. He is like just incredibly talented writer and producer, and he was telling me how he likes to write. When he's writing for an artist, he listens to somebody entirely opposite of who they are. And so I took that tip, and I just want to like just highlight the importance of working with people who are exactly the opposite of you. So when I was, for example, working with Usher, and I was his personal photographer for maybe 2.5, 3 years. Okay. You see the image behind me.
Yeah.
That's him and I in Vegas. And so when I'm retouching Usher's work, that's the other half of the artistry, right? It's not just in camera, then it's how I sit and how I put myself into it. Another
Right.
thing that AI can't yet touch. I would not listen to Usher's music at all. The worst thing I could do is listen to Usher's music while I'm retouching Usher,
Right.
because then I'm just giving you the same thing over and over. So I'm like, okay, what's exact opposite? He's more on stage. He's electric, but in person, he's very calm and brought in. Who is all the way out there. Okay, that's one thing. He's a man, so I want to listen to a female recording artist. He's black, maybe I'll listen to a white recording artist. So I would listen to somebody like Madonna. I would listen to her like Ray of Light album that's more electric, while retouching for Usher's R&B album, and it's just that music inspires me to do something different, maybe with my Photoshop brush,
Right.
etc. Right? I think that right there kind of explains what it's like to work with people that you may not be accustomed to working with. And I think that black and brown and marginalized people should work with white people, and white people should work with them. And let's all support each other and not cut anyone out.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting insight into it. It actually makes me think about years and years ago before I kind of specifically went into weddings, like as more of my niche. I did a lot of band photos. And I ended up working with a lot of like sort of, I guess, B-list, like rap and R&B people who were just like, one would recommend the next one and one would and over and over again, but they wanted a very they wanted something different. And what I was giving them was this sort of like a different twist on very traditional portraiture.
Yep. That's it.
Very traditional portraiture. Like, I'm going to shoot each person separately in this group. I'm not shooting you all standing together or something. Or then we'll go out and we'll do like a photojournalist kind of stuff as well. Like, if that's the end. But initially, we're going to do these very like kind of traditional portraits of you, like black and whites and things like that. Like, and they just like, oh, we love this. This is totally different than what everybody else in our industry is getting right now. So it's like,
because you added your flavor to theirs.
Yeah. I mean, it was like, it was mixing everything together and making something different.
That's exactly it.
So for aspiring photographers from marginalized backgrounds who might be feeling discouraged or overwhelmed by the lack of representation in the industry, what sort of advice do you have for them?
Okay. Off the top of my head, because we just drew the dice and this is our topic. Number one, just real fast, you started in weddings. I just want to like tip my hat to wedding photographers. You guys are the true warriors out there. And let me tell you something, wedding photography can break you. As a human, you're just like, okay. But they are tough and they know their camera like no other. But I would say the advice that I would give just off the top of my head, number one is what I said earlier. What some people may label as a negative, that's like wildly your superpower. So go there. Go where you are accepted. Okay. It's so much easier to swim with the current than to constantly go upstream. It's exhausting, and you're an artist, whether you shoot 5 hours a week, whether you've had to take a full-time job, you're an artist, but you really want to take photographs, or you're shooting full-time, you're still an artist. And so you're very sensitive in every job you give of yourself. Go where you are safe. There are a lot of good people who don't look like you. You know when somebody is on your side and when someone is condescending and not really an ally. Go where you're safe, but also talk about what you do. I really believe in trying is lying. You're doing it or you're not. Don't ever say, I'm gonna. I want to. Don't do it. It's a waste of time. You're stealing from my time. If you tell me I'm gonna, you just stole part of my day, because no, you're not. Trying is lying. You're doing it or you're not. But just go out there and shoot what you want to get paid for. Niche down. There are people that say right now, don't niche down. Don't listen to them. Niche down. People that want to pay high dollar want somebody who is an expert in something.
Right.
Niche down. Tell people what you do. Introduce yourself sometime. Oh, walk your camera. That kind of goes with telling people what you do.
Sure.
Learn to put your camera around your neck, around your shoulder, and go run errands. A, you're going to photograph way more. B, people are just going to stop you. You ever seen dog owners? Like they talk to people's dogs. Is that you? Okay.
Yes.
I've never had a dog, but one time I took my friend's dog for a walk and people were like, Vinny, who do we have here? And I'm
Yeah.
like, yo, I'm up here. I'm a human, right? But I also noticed that I talk to people's cameras. I'm like, oh, is that the Fuji X100V? How'd you get it? And but people will stop, and people always, if I walk around like downtown Los Angeles, Orange County, wherever, people will say, oh, are you a photographer? I'm like, I am. And then I'll just have small conversations and just bank on the fact. My final tip on this, I mean, I can give a ton, but my final tip to not steal all the time is you and I know a lot of photographers. Your average person does not know a professional photographer. So just by making yourself present, walking your camera like you're walking a dog, okay, you will inevitably, people are going to say, my daughter is getting married. My daughter's best friend is looking for a photographer. My husband is starting a company and needs photos for his website. People don't know how to find a photographer and they don't really trust everything online. Put yourself out there and think of it as you're not selling. If you're selling, you failed. You are just there to be a solution for someone's problem, and they will come to you.
I think
Just like people know they'll find you. Just like on Canal Street in New York, they know who's there for the knockoffs.
Right.
They will find you.
Yeah, it's Canal Street. Yeah, I think that's a really interesting point. Again, something that never occurred to me, like just walking around with your camera.
Yeah,
I think of even when I'm on a job, I'll be photographing people or whatever, and like somebody will walk by and they'll make a comment about my camera, and I'll be like, oh yeah, like I don't want to abandon my client, but I will make a quick little I'll talk to them a little bit and say something or whatever. Like there were years, I don't know if you remember I still get it with my hold fast strap. Like I have the money maker, like the dual camera straps. People at weddings always come up and make a comment about, they're like, oh, you look like an Old West gunslinger or something and I'm like, oh yeah, okay, great. But it's it's bringing them in. It brings them in. That's and maybe want to talk about it. They think it looks cool or whatever. They talk about the camera or something. You just engage them. It's I think, for any photographer, it's a really good bit of advice. Get out there and just let people know, because you're right. Like people, especially if you're looking for business locally or wherever you're at or wherever you happen to be walking around to, people will start to know who you are.
That's it.
And I think that is the most difficult thing is people knowing that you're available, that you're there. And then
that's exactly it. It's just people don't know how to find one. I'm sure right now somebody that repairs shoes, they're like, everyone knows a shoe repair person. I'm like, no, I actually do not at all. That's a terrible example, but just, you know what I mean? I just don't know if it's outside of my industry.
Right. There's that you don't necessarily know someone who does that professionally or who does it well or does what you need. And so just that person that you ran into on the street and you just grab their card from them, you might be the solution to their problem. Like you said, that's what people are looking for. They're looking for someone to solve a problem for them.
And then now going back to that Photoshop AI and other AI, it's yes, it's going to be there, but a lot of people, they're like, man, this is a luxury service. I just want someone to do it for me.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, photographers, are you tired of using the same stale poses with your clients, resulting in stiff and unnatural photos? Consider using Let's Be Real prompts instead. Prompts are not just a list of poses. They're designed to help you create a more engaging, fun environment for your photo subjects, resulting in more natural and authentic images. With Nerdy Photographer's Let's Be Real prompts, you'll have a unique set of prompts for couples, weddings, families, and individuals, ensuring that you never run out of ideas. Prompts are particularly helpful for clients who are nervous or self-conscious about having their picture taken. By giving them something else to focus on, they can become more relaxed and their reactions will be more authentic and less guarded. Using Let's Be Real prompts will not only help you create more fresh and dynamic images, but it will also increase your confidence and your client's confidence in you. you'll be able to handle difficult situations and subjects with ease, resulting in more satisfied clients and a stronger photography business. So start using Let's Be Real prompts from the Nerdy Photographer today and elevate your photography to the next level. Go to nerdyphotographer.com and go to our store, or click the link in the episode notes and get started creating authentic, engaging images today. This episode of The Nerdy Photographer is brought to you by Manscaped. 2024 is here in full swing, and that means it's time for a New Year's resolution check-in with our friends at Manscaped. Newsflash, it's never too late to level up your grooming game and keep your bush tamed. Manscaped's new Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra is every man's cheat code to look good, feel good, and turn the page on confidence this year. Whether you're just going for a trim or that clean-shaven look, this trimmer has you covered. Trusted by over 10 million men worldwide, now is your time to get a grip on your grooming with our exclusive offer. Go to manscaped.com and use the code NERDYPHOTO, that's NERDYPHOTO, all caps, for 20% off plus free shipping. The ball is dropped, but don't drop the ball on your balls. So how are everyone's New Year's resolutions holding up? Was one of your resolutions to take better care of yourself? Well, introducing the MVP of 2024, Manscaped's 5th generation lawnmower. It's not just a trimmer, it's your grooming sidekick. Equipped with 2 skin-safe blade heads, a standard one for taking a little off the top, and a new foil blade to go smooth wherever your heart desires. It's like having a personal stylist at your fingertips, or, well, wherever you may need it. And did we mention it's waterproof? Because a trim in the shower is the only way to start the day. And for my men who want the full grooming experience, look no further than Manscaped's Performance Package 5.0. In this grooming kit, you get the trusted lawnmower, Manscaped's ear and nose hair trimmer, and essential aftercare products like the Crop Soother Ball Aftershave Lotion and Crop Preserver Anti-Chafing Ball Deodorant. Yes, it's deodorant for your balls. Bet you didn't think you needed that. You do. You definitely do. As a gesture for the new year, they're even throwing in 2 free gifts, the Boxers 2.0 and the Shed 2.0 toiletry bag, because they know good and well that you're still rocking those boxers from high school, and you shouldn't be. Let's face it, resolutions may come and go, but a well-groomed you is here to stay, thanks to Manscaped. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code NERDYPHOTO at manscaped.com. Embrace a new you, and definitely embrace a new trimmer, courtesy of Manscaped.
Hey. And now for my favorite part of the show. What's that say? Useless information. This is always death.
So our useless information for this episode. How big do you think the largest padlock in the world is? Like, just weight by weight.
The largest what?
Padlock.
I got nervous. Oh my God. Weight wise?
Yeah. How many pounds do you think the biggest padlock in the world weighs?
I never in my mind that ever crossed my mind. Never in my life. 150 pounds.
916 pounds. The thing that makes me wonder about that
Where
is,
did you find that?
It's a lot of useless information that I have, like, we're just floating around. Like,
Okay.
I've made this a part of the podcast because my wife is like, you should go on Jeopardy and use some of that knowledge for good. 916 pounds. I'm just trying to think of the key that would fit in like a 900-pound padlock, or is it is it a combination?
What is it locking up?
I don't know. I have no idea. I mean, my guess would be like you could throw something like that on a ship. I don't know, like holding chaining something to a pier or a wharf somewhere. What is that for? Like it's a really big door.
I mean, guess what though? But I'll be Googling it later. You know, just because I'm actually curious what gets locked up and who. Yeah, you're right. Where does that key go? Is it combo? It's probably not combo.
Or is it just something somebody tried to make the biggest? Something like just like the world's biggest pizza. Are they just trying to make the biggest padlock ever made? Well,
I'll be finding out later.
Yeah,
when I Google it. Yeah.
See, I mean, I've sparked your imagination. You want to go out and like learn something new. or learn more about that topic.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for coming on the show. Where can people find you on the internets or wherever they're looking for?
Number one, thank you for having me. I really enjoyed myself. Number two, thank you for having just like a really light-hearted but informative podcast that I think helps the community a lot. It's a really nice alternative to some of the all of them are great, but it's nice and it stands out. And number three, everything is currently I'm under a website redesign, but everything is under walidazami.com, and that's my work and that's my blogs and everything links from there.
walidazami.com. And your socials?
Sure. On Instagram, where I help photographers, it's at walid.azami. Okay. And on TikTok, it's Walid Azami. And on YouTube, it's Walid Azami TV.
Yeah, be sure to go follow those. I will include all of those links also in the episode notes for anyone who's interested in those. And Walid, before we head out, anything else you'd like to say before we head out for the episode?
Thank you. And also, you guys, I don't care if you're marginalized or not marginalized, you have immense amount of value and no one can launch a brand or anything without your work. So please charge accordingly for it. You guys are the movers and shakers of the industry. And know your value. You have a ton of value. That's all. Thank you.
Wise words. Walid, you're welcome to come back anytime.
Thank you. I would love to.
Welcome back, everyone. In case you were wondering, yes, I did get those security doors open. Did I use too many explosives? Well, that's up for debate. No one was injured and everyone made it to the conference on time, but there is a lot of dust and debris laying about. I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Walid Azami, and perhaps it opened your eyes a bit, gave you ideas on how you can help marginalized photographers. You can find Walid's links in the episode notes, and he always has tons of helpful hints for photographers on his socials. While you're in the following mood, be sure to follow along with the Nerdy Photographer on Instagram, Threads, and TikTok at The Nerdy Photo. That's at The Nerdy Photo. I'm also going to be going live more regularly this year and talk about photography and other nerdy endeavors, so be sure to check in between episodes. And keep telling your friends about the show. Okay, guess I'll get back to cleaning up the mess I made. In the words of Dan Campbell, let's be better tomorrow. And until next time, stay safe and stay nerdy.
Who's that coming back to town? You better start listening. Who's your heart been beating about? You better listen.